Now, I initially read the name of this product as MAID01. But fortunately, that wasn't right. It's the Mobile Internet Audio Device 01 from Moondrop and has absolutely nothing to do with assisted suicide. This is rather the first mobile phone from Moondrop, who is best known for their Chi-Fi audio products and, more recently, keyboards. And wow, it's not particularly heavy, and boy, it's got like a camera like hanger hook almost. That is really something. I think I see what they were going for. It's kind of like those first generation OLED TVs where they had the super thin advertised specs, but then they just had like a giant caboose at the bottom. Oh, it's really not that comfortable to hold though. Look at that profile. It's like sharp in the spots that you hold it where it's thin. I feel like I'm coming across really negative. We're gonna take a closer look at this in a minute. First, what else have we got in here? Ooh, accessories. 3-foot braided charging cable, and that's it. God, it's amazing what crap qualifies as accessories these days. Charging cable, that's not an accessory. That's the bare minimum. Let's do a quick physical tour. We've got a 64 megapixel main camera, 8 megapixel wide camera, and a 32 megapixel selfie camera that Moondrop themselves describes as, it's not good, but it works. Is that serious? They actually said that? Okay. On the left, we've got a whole lot of nothing. On the bottom, we've got our micro SD slot. Yeah! We've got a USB charging port that does support USB 3 5 gigabit per second speeds and fast charging. In fact, we managed to get to a 36% charge in just 15 minutes and a full charge in just a hair over an hour. On the right, we've got our lock button, volume rocker. Where is my fingerprint sensor? Oh, it's under screen. Well, hopefully it's a good one. JK, it's kind of mid. It works about 80% of the time first try. None of which is probably compelling you guys to drop everything and order this phone. But worry not, for I have something to show you. On the top, we've got a regular 3.5 millimeter audio jack, and what's this? A 4.4 millimeter balanced audio jack. That's right, my friends. True to their heritage, Moondrop has focused this device on being, well, a phone, yes, but also recognizing that most people are not going to carry around an additional MP3 player on top of their phone, an excellent MP3 player. If only I could get it to turn on right now. Is this thing charged? Well, looks like someone might have turned this on before they put it in the box after lab testing. So while we charge our phone, why don't we charge our sponsor? LG. Thanks to LG for sponsoring this video. Upgrade your home entertainment experience with LG's OLED TVs. They have a variety of series that will fit your needs and your budget, from the more wallet-friendly mid-range B series to the absolutely baller Z series. So whether you're a gamer that needs ultra-fast response time or a cinema enthusiast who's looking for crystal clear picture quality, LG's OLED TVs are there to provide the depth, detail, high resolution, and high dynamic range that you crave. Check them out today using our link in the video description. It's 96%. Why was this refusing to turn on? That's so weird. What is up with this wallpaper? Why is there a school child on my phone? Look, I try not to be judgy about this stuff, but like, what the f***? That is a child. Kind of an interesting skin. The phone's running Android 13. Before we poke at that too much though, I want to talk about the material that the shell is made of here. It's we think they mean polycarbonate, but we have no way of knowing for sure. Okay. Cool, so the screen, one of the highlights and also lowlights of the device. It's 2460 by 1080 in resolution. It's OLED. It'll run at either 60 or 120 hertz, or it'll auto switch between the two. And it was pretty accurate out of the box, right? Yes, it uses high frequency dimming to avoid any flicker, and unfortunately, that's about all that I can say about it. It only hit 460 nits in SDR. And that's even with auto brightness enabled, which on many other phones allows the display to boost, making it more usable outside. And in HDR, man, we got some weird behavior to the point where we couldn't even really measure the accuracy properly because we couldn't trust our results. Watch this on YouTube. I'm gonna fire up an HDR video here. What? That is not even close. And this is a phone from 6 years ago. Now, obviously this hardware is better. So whatever's going on here has to be in the software. What is this color? Maybe the audio experience is so good that I won't care how my HDR video looks. Nope. Of course, Moondrop never said that the speakers were particularly good. Why don't we actually plug in a pair of headphones? Look, I gotta be honest with you. I've never been able to tell the difference between a balanced output and a regular output. Did anyone else notice that this thing went from 90% battery to 42% while I've been sitting here? It just dropped to 41, it just shut down. I think there's something wrong with it. Okay, well that's good to know, because when we did our battery endurance test, we only got, what was it, about 12 hours out of this thing, which is very low compared to other devices. So obviously it's lasting a lot less than 12 hours right now, but it could be that it was in the middle of experiencing some kind of failure. Unfortunately, our collaborators, headphones.com, were busy and we weren't able to get this tested by them. Maybe they'll test it in the future though. We'd be happy to send this over to them. In the meantime, the lab's initial impressions of the DAC are that it's about on par with a desktop DAC that you could get in the $50 to $100 range, but I haven't heard it for myself yet, so all that remains is for me to listen to some music. By default, because this is like a Chinese Android 13 install, none of the Google Play Store or Google Play Services things were installed, so we had to sideload everything, including basics like Spotify, onto this phone in order to get it to do anything. So if you are in a Google region, just something that you might want to be aware of. Now, we did manage to get 5G connectivity working, but we don't have a full list of bands from Moondrop yet. If we get it by the time we publish this video, we're going to put it up on screen right now. But in the meantime, Gary has hacksawed it, so I should be able to just install whatever I want. I'm going to go with Apple Music. This is an audiophile phone from the year 2024. This is not a motherboard from 1998. Why am I hearing interactions with the screen through my headphones? Watch. You hear it? So when I press the first one, and then the second one, here's what I think though. Okay, one of the major selling points of this phone is that they are bypassing the Android audio subsystem. So it's possible that whatever it is they're doing in order to do that involves like some switching time. And so the first time that it needs to make a noise, it might get a little confuse-emulated. It's not a game-breaking problem, but it's irritating. The good news is that it's not what I thought. It's not just, electronic noise being passed through to the headphone jack like we used to see on old motherboards. Okay, I'm sorry, I swear, I'm gonna actually listen to this thing at some point. All right, guys, give me something to listen to. God, AirPods suck. Like they really do suck, don't they? Why do I accept it? Was this really that bad? The issue for me isn't even the wire. The issue for me is not wanting to carry around the USB-C to 3.5mm dongle and not being willing to compromise on the phone that has the 3.5mm jack, because this sounds great compared to what you're probably carrying around in your pocket right now. But this phone really sucks. I wish I could say that the price makes up for it, or that it's a flagship killer, it's got a super high-end SoC, whatever, but it doesn't. It's got a MediaTek chipset that's about equivalent to a Snapdragon 6 Gen 1, and it's coming in at $400, which, yeah, is more of a budget-oriented phone price, especially when you consider that as a feature phone, it has something to kind of compel you to at least consider it. But when you compare that to something like the Nothing Phone 2A for $50 less than this, that's tough to recommend. Buy a Nothing Phone 2A and buy a nice USB-C DAC. Yeah, I'm getting the nod from Gary from the lab. With that said, we haven't tried the 4.4mm balanced output yet, although I have to confess, whether it's because I'm tin-eared or not trained enough, I have yet, on the same DAC and headphone combination, to notice a big difference going from a regular output to a balanced output. I'm sorry, I just can't imagine myself needing my phone to drive these. Like if I'm wearing something that comes off my head that easily when I'm moving, I'm stationary, boys. Obviously this is apples to oranges, but if you went the full Moondrop setup, you'd be having a pretty good time when you're listening to music and a pretty rotten time the rest of the time. Gaming. It falls behind the Nothing Phone 2A. Not by a ton. You can play Genshin Impact on low, 60 FPS, or low plus rather. It's competitive with that phone RAM and storage wise though. It has 12 gigs of LPDDR4X. Oh, 4X? Ooh, 256 gigs of UFS 3.1 storage. And I guess now's the time for us to look at the cameras that even Moondrop wasn't willing to talk up. By the way, I think this charging indicator kind of confirms my hypothesis that it was just a battery calibration issue that it got a little bit confused about. So our battery tests may be accurate. In spite of the 5,000 milliamp hour battery, the battery life on this thing is not great. Let's go ahead and fire up the camera. Wow, this is the worst camera I have seen in years, my friends. And like, I'm not talking that it's low resolution or whatever. Sure, yeah, 64 megapixel sensor, so there's some sharpness there. But then they took that sharpness and they added a sharpening filter to it. And then they added a second sharpening filter to it. And then they boosted the vibrance. Look at this green next to this green. That's supposed to be the same green. What are you even talking about? So let's put it this way. I'm always happy to see new entrants in the market, and I'm always happy to see companies that are trying to differentiate their product in a meaningful way. And having a decent onboard DAC on a phone is something I think a lot of people are asking for. And the audio experience itself, the isolation from the Android audio subsystem, that stuff is a really good start. But it's clear that they still have some work to do with respect to the ergonomics and with respect to the software experience and building a more rounded experience, because on the one hand, you guys have a compelling sales pitch here. This is the one device that you have to carry in order to combine your phone functions and your MP3 player functions. And you've got this side going pretty good, but if I had one of these, I'd probably still feel like I needed to carry a phone. Subscribe to ShortCircuit.